taking questions at this news conference held by the Republican Party of North Carolina. Let's watch.
We are continuing to see and will allow DOJ as well as the state system of the judicial system to play this out. But it does appear that this is an individual that should have received far more attention than he received to be put back on the streets. Yes, sir.
One other point on this, and this is exactly why public media is defunded in this country. Instead of talking about why a person who was robbed people, who physically harmed people, was locked up, we want to wonder about the past and what he was out on now. This young man murdered somebody, plain and simple. This young man had mental issues and had no business on the streets. Right. And shame on NPR for asking such a ridiculous question.
That is absolutely right.
Yes, sir.
Listen, the magistrates here, in particular, a couple magistrates in this particular case, have gained a lot of national attention. North Carolina is one of the states in the country that you don't have to have a law degree, you don't have to have a college degree, you don't have to have an associate's degree, you can just have a high school degree and be a magistrate judge in North Carolina.
Majority of states.
To Republican leadership or any leadership in Raleigh about getting that changed?
Yeah, I think as you've heard with Speaker Hall yesterday, I think all options are on the table to review our judicial system to ensure tragedies like this do not occur.
I guess I just want to clarify.
Yes, sir.
Are the county chairs, should folks vote for this transit tax in Met County if there's concerns about safety on the light rail?
We're fully aware of the need for infrastructure improvements. We're fully aware for the need for infrastructure improvements in Mecklenburg County, and we're also in favor of putting that toward the voters. So the voters in Mecklenburg County know what they need best, and they're going to go to the polls this November, and make that decision on their own.
Perfect. Yes, ma'am. Final question, and then we need to wrap so we can have people get back to their jobs.
Yes, sir. President Trump has either deployed or considered deploying the National Guard to multiple major cities in recent weeks to, in his words, address rising violent crime. Is that something you think could happen in Charlotte or should happen in Charlotte? What
you've seen is President Trump implement safety protocols within Washington, D.C., and you've seen the results of that. Other cities across our wonderful country should take a look at Washington, D.C., and how we can also take hold of our cities once again and make sure that crime no longer has a grip and control and allow people to get back to the work, to their enjoyment. Thank you for being with us today. God bless.
Thank you.
If the public transportation in Ukraine under war is safer than our prosperous cities.
All right, so for the first time, we have heard from a conglomerate of leadership in that state, a state that's run at the governor level and at the mayoral level by Democrats. But this group is the leadership of the Republicans in that state. A couple of them are running for important seats, like mayor against Vi Lyles, who said some, as I said earlier, ineloquent things since the death of the woman you see on the screen now, Iryna Zarutska. Her vicious murder in a rail car by a man sitting behind her, and the blood dripping throughout that car, her DNA spread about after her killing, is now all over the internet and being talked about. But it didn't just happen. It happened August 22nd. And it took some time for those local Democrat officials to stop thanking the local media and others who were implicit and basically just not putting the story out, or as I like to call, burying it. But in this instance, you even heard one of the leadership there talking about the fact that, well, this is why media like NPR, those public radio and federally funded in some parts media, are no longer getting that money. He said they're not covering the heart of this story. So it's interesting where we are right now. That was James Bowers, by the way, and this happened in his district. I believe that's who that was. Forgive me if that's not right, but I've been keeping up with who's talking here. The White House says the media failed the public on this too. Watch.
I would like to address the tragedy that has not received nearly enough media attention, the brutal murder of Iryna Zarutska. Perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit a preferred narrative. Many of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car from a deranged lunatic in New York City, but none of those same reporters lift a finger to write stories about an actual murderer.
Some in the liberal media are downplaying all of this.
He was threatening the public. He was a menace to society.
He should have been locked away for life for what now?
Locked away for life for schizophrenia.
That is what you said. Institutionalized.
We don't know why that man did what he did. We don't know how to deal with people who were hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagons.
Viewers were not pleased. Here's just some of the reaction for the few who are still watching CNN. Deranged, out of touch to anyone with common sense. This is nearly unwatchable, my point. A piece in the Free Press gets to the deeper reason for the legacy media's initial silence on the murder and now their sudden coverage. Quote, the greater issue is a cultural one, a growing frustration with what often feels like limitless tolerance for public disorder and antisocial behavior, and with it, a sense that one must not only avoid discussing these things to remain a liberal in good standing, but actively pretend they don't exist. That's quite an acting job from the left. Maybe that's why for years they owned Hollywood. Lisa Boothe, Fox News political analyst now. I don't know how much of that news conference we took the speeches first, and then we came back for the questions. I mean, that was important, what they were saying, and they were taking some punches at people who have let the public down in that state and certainly let Iryna down.
Yeah, Harris, I can't get the image of this young woman getting murdered out of my mind. I watched the video. It was seared in my memory last night trying to go to sleep. I'm sure that's how much of the audience feels that you feel as well. And I don't know about you, Harris, but I'm tired of living in this dystopian world where somehow criminals are the victims in all of this. We've seen the criminal justice system completely upended. And you see that in what CNN's Van Jones said, that hurt people. Or you look at what the mayor of Charlotte said, that we can't arrest our way out of homelessness and mental health issues. Or you can even go back to 2020 when Kamala Harris said she was proud of Jacob Blake, a guy that had a warrant out for his arrest for sexual assault, who pulled a knife on 2 police officers, and she said she was proud of him. So I am sorry. After all of that, the criminals are not the victims in all of this. And I lose any empathy for someone like DeCarlos, who had been arrested 14 times, who then senselessly murders a woman for no reason, who escaped a war-torn country, who was living in a bomb shelter, only to get murdered in a liberal city in America. So I want to go back to a normal America where criminals are criminals and they're arrested and they're put behind bars.
Yeah, where is that America? It seems to be invisible right now. Speaker Mike Johnson also called out the liberal media for some headlines suggesting Republicans are seizing a political moment. Well, that is rich. Who was suppressing this? The mayor thanking the local media for not going with the video and telling the public about this. Wow. Speaker Johnson wrote, the mainstream press reached a new low. The only way they could bring themselves to cover the tragic loss of an innocent life is by criticizing Republicans for highlighting the Democrat failures that led to this crime. Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is what we've seen from this administration, from the Trump administration. He's been talking about this issue even prior to the murder of this young woman. Despite how much this man has criticized President Trump, this is a guy who cares about human suffering and wants to protect the lives of all Americans, of all individuals, all law-abiding individuals who are living in this country. That's why he went into Washington, D.C. That's why he federalized the D.C. Metropolitan Police and the National Guard there. That's why he's sending ICE agents into cities like Chicago. He doesn't want to see this kind of suffering. So his concern about this issue and Republicans' concerns predates the murder of this young woman. But of course, when you see a video where a 23-year-old is so senselessly murdered, of course we're going to talk about it. How can we not?
How can we not? Amen to that. All right. Well, Attorney General Pam Bondi is warning schools which try to silence parents for standing up to their children or express concern about their education. We'll get to that in just a moment. Before I let you go, Lisa, I looked at a timeline here. This suspect, and again, legally he is, even though we can all see him on camera, 2007, that's when his criminal background began. And it was 3 misdemeanors. He went on with charges that led to supervised probation. And then he went on in 2014, he had a new felony on probation, and that led to 5 years in prison time because he was getting worse as a criminal as he went on. 5 years. He got let out just after 5 years in prison, a year early. And then you fast forward to 2022, 2024, 2025, recidivism. And there you have it. Your last quick word.
Well, you know, and Harris, even the family said this guy is a danger to society. And then he called back in January 911 and said that he had a microchip in his body and he was being controlled. So you have warning after warning after warning, yet liberals in positions of power failed this young woman, and they're failing citizens across America, and people are saying enough.
Voters voted for these people. You saw a lot of people up on that dais, some in Republican leadership now, others running for position. I wonder what voting election will look like in North Carolina going forward after this, after losing such a beautiful soul in Iryna. Lisa, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Harris, thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.